Welcome back. St. Lucia's External Affairs Minister Sarah Flood-Bulbra is weighing in on the win of Joe Biden in the U.S. elections, stating that she is hopeful for change as well as a deepened relationship with the U.S. One of the changes she says she is hoping for is for St. Lucia to be removed from under the U.S.'s thumb after the island was penalized under the Leahy Law. Under the U.S.'s Leahy Law, St. Lucia is prevented from obtaining security-related assistance from the U.S. as a result of alleged extrajudicial killings of civilians by the Royal St. Lucia Police Force between 2010 and 2011.
The U.S. election was one that certainly kept the attention of the world as everyone waited for 3 days with bated breath to see who would emerge victorious, whether it be Donald Trump or Joe Biden. On Saturday, the confirmation was made that Joe Biden came out on top and that he would be named as the 46th U.S. president. On Monday, St. Lucia's External Affairs Minister Sarah Flood-Bulbra extended a congratulatory message to Biden and his running mate turned Vice President-elect Kamala Harris. She said she is looking forward to continuing a good relationship with America.
St. Lucia's relationship with the U.S. goes way, way back, even before our independence. And St. Lucia has worked with the U.S. government and with the U.S. people, regardless of whether it's a Democrat who's in office or whether it's a Republican. And so we look forward to a continued deepening of our friendship. St. Lucia and the U.S. have very strong diplomatic relations and have been allies for a very, very long time.
Flood-Bulbra expressed a number of hopes that she would like to see materialize from a Joe Biden presidency, including the removal of the Leahy Law. In 2013, St. Lucia was restricted by the terms of what is commonly referred to as the Leahy Law from receiving security-related assistance from the United States as a result of credible evidence of extrajudicial killings of 17 people in 2010 to 2011 by the island's security forces. The minister said although she is aware that this is bigger than politics, she still has her hopes high.
We know that we have the ongoing concern that this hangs over our head, unfortunately. And we know that St. Lucia has not been able to access certain assistance from the U.S. government because of the Leahy Law. That is something we continue to work on. We have seen some shifting, but that is a matter I understand that goes beyond the politics. That is a matter of what the law is, and it may not necessarily change because an administration changes.
But are you hoping?
Absolutely, that is something that's critical to us. You know how much we depend on foreign assistance in terms of beefing up our security system.
The Leahy Law is a U.S. human rights law. Reporting for Hot 7 News, I am Rochelle Gonzalez.
With Joe Biden projected to win the U.S. presidential election, many world leaders hasten to congratulate him on his victory. But not everyone has been so keen. In fact, some have been conspicuous in their absence. Here are some key international figures who have not sent messages of support or who have appeared lukewarm in their congratulations. Some have gone even further, congratulating Trump or backing unsubstantiated claims that he has made about voter fraud. At least one minister has paid for his remarks with his job. 4 years ago, Russian President Vladimir Putin was among the first to congratulate Donald Trump on his election victory. But there has been no tweet, telegram, or phone call to Joe Biden this time. Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov said the reason for the delay was the legal challenges being launched by the Trump campaign. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is another world leader who has never hidden his affinity for Donald Trump. And while he congratulated Biden, observers have noted the absence of the words President-elect or Vice President-elect in his message. The Brazilian president is also considered to be an ally of Donald Trump, so much so that he has been described as the Trump of the tropics. The Brazilian leader's failure so far to congratulate Joe Biden, therefore, comes as no surprise. He has crossed swords with Biden in the past, describing his call during an election debate for the U.S. to push Brazil to protect the Amazon rainforest better as disastrous and unnecessary. Mexico's president is another Latin American leader who has tried to maintain good relations with Donald Trump despite tensions over the U.S. president's hardline policy on migrants and in particular his pledge to build a wall along the two countries' borders. The Mexican leader has therefore been cautious about the U.S. election. On Sunday, he said he would wait for all legal issues to be resolved. In other news, following the latest road fatality, Hot 7 TV spoke with former sergeant of the Traffic Police Department and the road captain of the Easy Cruisers Riding Club, Leontius Joseph, who both made special appeals to motorists to be more careful on the roadways. Genevieve Gonzague reports.
Calls of caution continue to be made by authorities and other stakeholders to the motoring public to take heed of the rules of the road when they are traversing it. On Sunday, St. Lucia recorded its 19th road fatality. In the aftermath of this latest casualty, former sergeant of traffic police and the road captain of the Easy Cruisers Riding Club, Leontius Joseph, explained to Hot 7 that one of the most common errors on the part of motorists is the miscalculation of upcoming vehicles or motorcycles.
One of the mistakes a lot of drivers have a tendency of doing, most times they want to judge the distance and speed of a motorcycle. Now that is a very difficult thing to do because from your vantage point driving your vehicle, you cannot ascertain the pace in which that motorcycle is traveling at. And distance and speed is something that only the person who is actually controlling the vehicle can decide for his or herself. And so a lot of people thinking that, okay, I can have to make it before that vehicle reaches on me. And sometimes, you judge incorrectly. And sometimes you have the serious crashes that happens.
Joseph says riders themselves need to take personal responsibility on the roads and once again echoed the calls for proper riding gear to be worn.
And I've said so over and over again that basic things that you have to check when you go and ride, you must ensure that you have proper gear when you're riding. You can't just have a slip on your feet and want to jump on a bike. You must have safety gear. You have your head gear. You at least some sunshades to protect your eyes. You need to have gloves in case you hit the road, because the first thing that touches the road is your hand. You need to have some form of protection when you're going to ride your motorcycle. So these core responsibilities, it is left to the rider himself.
He says another reason that may be leading to so many motorcycle accidents is the fact that many of the young freelance bike riders have not gone through thorough training to be able to navigate the roads.
Now you find a lot of these guys who jump on those motorcycles, they have never been on a driving school. You grew up riding bicycle, an opportunity presents itself, you jump on one of these little scooters, and you think it's fun to just ride them. And a lot of these guys, some of them, they never went to driving school, so they do not even know the rules of engagement on the road, and that is a scary thing. If you go through driving school, then you know, when to approach intersection, don't overtake on a bridge. Basic things you learn at driving school, then you would also practice that when you're riding.
Joseph has made a special appeal for motorcyclists and other motorists to exercise due caution on roadways. Reporting for Hot 7 News, I am Genevieve Gonzague.
St. Lucia experienced another weekend of heavy rains. The director of Met Services, Andre Joyer, explained that the island was experiencing the after effects of two tropical waves. Certain parts of the island, the north in particular, experienced flooding. Joyer says St. Lucians need to use their neighboring islands as an example of what could happen as the hurricane season is still ongoing.
For the second consecutive weekend, St. Lucia has experienced torrential rains from Friday well into Monday, with flooding and land slippage being recorded in certain parts of the island. Director of the St. Lucia Met Services, Andre Joyer, explained that the island was simply reeling from the after effects of a tropical wave.
We had two tropical waves that passed over the island over the weekend. One was on Friday and the second was on Sunday. So the axis passed over the island on those days. But what we had was that the instability left in the wake of those waves caused showers and flooding. So the wave that passed on Friday, on Saturday, the trailing moisture caused heavy showers and thunderstorms. And on Sunday, the wave passed on Sunday, and then Monday, today, we get in some more showers in the wake of that wave on Sunday.
Joye noted that majority of the rainfall recorded was to the north of the island. The George F. L. Charles Airport recorded 115.6 millimeters of rainfall, a stark contrast to the Uranora Airport's 23.3 millimeters. He says the rainfall cannot be compared to that of last week's, as that tropical wave was accompanied by an upper-level trough. He says St. Lucians need to use the damages being caused by these weather systems in other Caribbean territories as an example of what could happen right here.
Barbados experienced basically the same fate as us with the flooding. And since Barbados is a lot flatter than St. Lucia, the flooding would have maybe caused more damage, but I cannot speak to that. Jamaica is on the feeder band from Tropical Storm Eta, which passed us as a tropical wave and developed over Central America as a hurricane and moved north over Jamaica and is close to Florida right now. But the feeder band is extending over Jamaica, and they've had about 3 or 4 days of rainfall, which has caused a lot of flooding.
Joye explained that the masses need to continue being cautious and adhere to precautions issued. He says, even as the end of the hurricane season draws closer, that should not be any reason for people to lower their guards, as history has proven that even after the season is over, systems can develop, as was seen with the Christmas Eve trough. Reporting for Hot 7 News, I am Genevieve Gonzalez.
The president of the National Council on Public Transportation, Godfrey Ferdinand, says the 10-passenger situation that has been reverted to has left drivers quite disenfranchised. He says the council is continuously negotiating on behalf of drivers to determine how they can improve the difficult financial situation.
Bus operators say they have been handed the short end of the stick again when it comes to the measures that have to be implemented in order to curb COVID-19. Drivers are mandated to transport 10 passengers, and everyone should be wearing masks or they stand the chance of being charged. President of the NCOPT, Godfrey Ferdinand, says this is highly unprofitable to drivers, and negotiations continue with government officials in order to ascertain what could be done to improve the situation of the hundreds of bus drivers around the island.
We are always in negotiation with the government. Presently, we are in negotiation with the government in reference to payments or how we're going to sustain this, if that's going to stay for another 6 months or another year. How do we sustain or continue that service operating at 10 passengers? And also, how do we continue operating if the economy is not showing any sign of increase? Because it's dependent on employment for us as much as everything else. The more persons at work, the better for us.
He says while drivers are understanding of the situation, they are adversely affected by the way things are progressing in the country.
The majority, if not all the associations, are running this thing at a loss. And we are holding on to see when can we actually get out of it to continue giving the service that we are giving presently. But presently it's really difficult, and it's been reflected in the number of bus operators that have to go speaking to their creditors. So it is very challenging, and we are hoping pretty soon we will be able to get some kind of relief with maybe a hand on the COVID system so that we can get full capacity on employment will boost up or something. If it doesn't change for us, it's going to be very bad.
Ferdinand says the NCOPT will continue to clamor on behalf of its members to ensure they receive everything they are deserving of. Reporting for Hot 7 News, I am Genevieve Gonzalez.
Stay with us. There's more news after the break.